Hello, friends. The 776th day of the war between Russia and Ukraine continues. Yesterday, Commander-in-Chief Syrskyi announced a difficult situation at the front. In addition to speaking about Berdichi near Avdiivka, Syrskyi also called a particularly difficult situation east of Chasiv Yar, where the enemy is trying to break through the defenses of our troops. Chasiv Yar remains under our control. All enemy attempts to break into the populated area have failed, said the Commander-in-Chief of the Ukrainian Armed Forces. Let me remind you that the deterioration of the situation near Chasiv Yar became known the other day. The Russians came very close to the eastern outskirts of the city, near the Canal microdistrict. The Ukrainian Armed Forces explain this by the dominance of Russian aerial bombs, which endangered the strategic heights around Chasiv Yar. They are dropping heavy ammunition on us without even flying near the line of contact or entering our air defense zone, said Voloshin, spokesman for the Ukrainian Armed Forces. When their aviation is operating, it is impossible for our defenders to work. They only need to hide in cover, the speaker added. Today, the Russians have again made significant progress towards Chasiv Yar in the Bakhmut direction, Ukrainian resources report. Thus, south of Bogdanivka and in the southern part of the village, the enemy managed to gain a foothold in an area up to 1.6 kilometers wide and to a depth of 750 meters. There continue to be reports that fighting is taking place in the direction of the central part of Bogdanivka. Only now the Russians are attacking not only from the northeast, but also from the southwest in a northern direction. The enemy's main efforts now are to take Bogdanivka and bring larger forces into it to continue the attack on Kalinivka and to attack the railway north of the city in the Canal region. On the territory of the Stupki-Golubovsky II Nature Reserve southeast of Chasiv Yar, Russian troops with a motorized rifle unit, supported by armored vehicles, advanced westward in an area up to 1.03 kilometers wide and to a depth of up to 1.33 kilometers. This advance of the enemy, in addition to the flank for the attack on Chasiv Yar, complicates our position in Yevhenii, as it gives them the opportunity to attack the settlement now from the northwestern side. As a result of these attacks, the enemy indicates that he will not deviate from his tactics of outflanking large strong points. The Russians acted in a similar way during the capture of Bakhmut, Soledar, and Avdiivka. First, there are probing strikes along the line of combat, detection of weak points on the flanks, usually the junctions of units, then a strike on them. In this case, there will be a constant alternation of main and auxiliary attacks along the entire line of combat, which does not allow the defenders to maneuver their reserves. Geographical factors that will influence the assault on the Chasiv Yar will be the forest plantations adjacent to the city from the north and south, and the L-shaped shape of the city. This allows, during a deep bypass of the city from the north through Kalinivka and from the south, through the German forest along the T-504 Bakhmut-Kostiantinivka highway, to immediately reach its western regions. With this development of events, there is a threat of encirclement of units in the city center. With this development of events, the main advantage of the Ukrainian armed forces in the city is neutralized, a location at heights, compared to the enemy, who has starting positions in the lowlands. But the symptoms of an approaching flank disease are already being felt. Meanwhile, the Russian army entered Krasnohorovka, reports Bild military expert Julian Ropp, who has studied video footage of the fighting. Krasnohorovka is located 20 kilometers west of Donetsk and north of Maryanka. In this area, the Russians have had virtually no progress since February 2022. Judging by the footage, Russian troops entered the village in armored vehicles from the southeast, from near Maryanka, crossing the railway line. Until evidence to the contrary emerges, we have to assume that Russia has successfully landed dozens of troops in the south of Krasnohorovka and is now occupying several residential areas south and north of the railroad tracks, Rop writes. I note that Ukrainian military telegram channels yesterday and today wrote about the attack on Krasnohorovka, but they claimed that it was repulsed. It's interesting that during yesterday's assault on the city of Krasnohorovka, the enemy used a turtle tank lined with metal sheets. In drone footage of the Ukrainian armed forces, you can see a turtle tank lined with metal sheets on all sides at the head of the assault column. The tower inside this structure does not rotate and looks only forward. But the tank survived the assault and returned to its position. Despite all the obvious shortcomings of such a design, which seriously impedes the mobility of the tank due to its obvious weight and size and blocks the rotation of the turret due to the protrusion of the structure half the length of the main gun, it performs the main function. It helps to easily reach positions in conditions of constant attacks from the air with FPV drones. Friends, preparing these daily reports has become my full-time job, and I have no other job for obvious reasons. There have been few views on the channel lately, which is why I ask for your help. If you have the opportunity to support me financially, I would be very grateful. Thank you very much and see you in the next video.